Welcome back to In Frame Brooklyn. Charlie from Real Brooklyn Films here, and we're going to make another video. Yes, we're going to make an end-of-year video just like everybody else. What we're going to talk about is what I've learned over the last 15 years of documentary filmmaking. I learned things before I started making documentary films, but we're going to just do the 15 years that I've been making documentary films. I've learned a bunch. This past year, we learned a ton making Outcast Nation, between making it, delivering it, lots of things to learn, and we'll talk about that. But more importantly, and for those of you who've been following, I've got 300, almost 400 followers now, subscribers. Outcast Nation is now on PBS. You can actually go to the PBS website, pbs.org, and you will find Outcast Nation there, and you can watch it as many times as you like. So please do. We're very happy. I couldn't be happier. This is like the golden ticket for documentary filmmakers. As I said before, Oscars, who cares? Your film on PBS is just, it's it, man. But anyway, so that's good. We're very happy. I'm giddy. And we're going to talk about what we've learned over the last 15 years. Right after this. So, what we're going to talk about are the things I've learned over the last 15 years that I wish somebody had told me when I started. When I made Rescue Brooklyn, I picked up a camera, ran around Brooklyn like an idiot for 2 years, following Sean Casey. We made a movie, Rescue Brooklyn. You can see it on Amazon. You can see it on our website. It's our first documentary, I made a lot of mistakes. And what I want to start with was the biggest mistake I made. And that is, I have a list of things. So you'll see me looking down because I can't remember anything. Organization. I wish I'd been more organized going in, but I really didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you, you know it. So at the time, I was shooting on a JVC, small HD camera, which I had gotten after I unloaded my Canon XL1A, that gigantic, big, humongous thing that shot the mini DV tapes, on a film student. And this is in 2012, so, technology was what it was, but it shot HD. It had 2 card slots, so it rolled over. And I shot about 150 hours of footage over 2 years. Now, ask me, did you label them when you were done? No. I did not. So I spent 2 weeks after we wrapped with my assistant going through each clip and watching it, labeling what it was, and then moving it into, we had Final Cut 7, I think, then maybe 6. And you had all these little bins, and each bin had a name. So there was a bin for rescues, there was a bin for adoptions, there was a bin for the staff interviews, expert interviews, and we took each clip and put it into the appropriate bin. 2 weeks of my life I'll never get back. So I beg you, when you shoot, when you go out and shoot, on the day, that same day, when you get back home or to the hotel, wherever you're staying, if you're on the road, you take that footage, dump it to a hard drive, label it what it is, like you can see on the video here. I have everything labeled, A cam, B cam, and what the clips are called. And this way, you have a record of what you shot, and you'll know when you start to edit where those things are. The other thing I do is, because documentary films aren't shot like narrative films, I break up my stuff into shoot days. Just, shoot day 1, shoot day 2, shoot day 3, all the way down. I think we had 22 shoot days on Outcast Nation, so that I have an idea of what I shot, when I shot it, so I can go to those bins, pull what I need, and pull it directly into Final Cut. Now, I use Final Cut 11 now, apparently. And then I can bring those directly into the event folders, which all have names. Each person interview has a name. It's like Deborah, whatever. It's all there. So each of those clips goes into the corresponding event folder in Final Cut. So when you start editing, everything you need is right there. Please be organized. It's so easy to let the chaos rule when you make documentary films. And it doesn't have to be. So listen, Uncle Charlie, and do it. Be organized. Be organized from the minute you start shooting. The other thing I think is interesting, that you might find interesting anyway, we use Milanote. And I first saw Milanote on Mark Bone's channel. It is an online app that you can have on your phone. You can have it on your computer. And everybody shares it. So anything that you put up on Milanote, everybody sees. So when we were making Outcast Nation, we put our calendars on there for when we were available so we can set up our interviews. I put directions to where we need to go, our shoot days. I put my questions, like literally the questions I was asking, I put it in Milanote. And when I thought of something, like I was sitting here on my computer, I put it into Milanote. And then when I put it on my phone, there's that question. It's really helpful. It puts everybody on the same page. You can put storyboards on there. You can put like mood boards on there. Anything you want for your film. It's all in one place. I think it's like $12 a month for the unlimited version. It's really worth it. I highly, highly recommend it as part of your workflow, as part of being organized. So anyway, so organization to me, that is like, that if you start organized, you will end organized. The worst thing you can do is to get into the edit, find that you can't find anything, and I promise you, you will be very cross with yourself if you do that. And that's it. Organization, number one. The next thing we're going to talk about, like everybody else, we're going to talk about gear right after this. So let's talk about gear. 2025 was an interesting year for us. As many of you know, that right in the middle of making Outcast Nation, all of our gear was stolen, and that was a lot of fun. So we had to replace it very quickly. But rewind back to when we first started making Outcast Nation. I've just come off of making Rising Tides, which I shot with my A-cam was my Canon EOS R6. And while Rising Tides is great and people like it, and I'm trying to do things with it, hopefully get it on PBS to follow up with Outcast Nation, and Denied, which we're working on. The quality was 4K, but it's old. There's an old camera. I got it when I made the Trump movie, so it's been around. And I got some comments, and I realized that going into Outcast Nation, I needed to upgrade my camera. That was just, it needed to happen. So I wasn't going to buy anything used. I did a lot of research. I watched Luke Forsythe's channel, a bunch of other people about used gear. I did a little research, and it seemed to me that the majority of the filmmakers that actually were finalists at Sundance were all using the Canon C300 Mark II. So that's the camera, and I'm a Canon guy, so I was going to get a Canon camera. So I went on eBay, and I found my first stolen Canon C300 Mark IIs for $1,800. Full, whole camera, like new, with a case and everything. Literally, $1,800 for what used to be a $16,000 camera. I love this camera. I would not part with this camera if you threatened to kill me. And so we started shooting Outcast Nation with the C300 Mark II, and you've heard me talking about the used Canon FD lenses that we got and cinemonted from our friends at Printable Focus up in Canada. And when you see Outcast Nation now, you'll see that cinematic quality of the glass was amazing. The lighting helped, but it's so smooth, it's so creamy, and we loved it. And it was all used. I didn't buy one new piece of gear. And then tragedy happened. They stole everything. All my lenses, both cameras, because we were using the R6 as our B camera, all rigged out with small rig stuff, and it went away. Both Ninja 5s, it all went away. So, and the insurance company, as we've talked about, did not want to pay because it was business expenses. Now we have the wonderful TCP, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. I replaced everything used again. So I got my new used Canon C300 Mark II for $2,400. It's actually in better shape and came with more stuff than the other one. It came with a Canon L Series 24-105. It came with this amazingly expensive Sennheiser lav, which we didn't have before because they sold our lavs. Excuse me. So we did good, and I was able to replace all of my FD lenses like in a week. So it didn't cost us any time at all, really, and we delivered on time. They were happy with us. It's now on PBS. So the moral of the story is there's no reason to ever buy new. Well, actually, the R6 Mark II that we're shooting on now is new because I couldn't get another R6. So this is new. I got this new. Of course, now there's the Mark III, which I'm not even going to get into. I love this camera. I'm not getting rid of the Mark II to upgrade to the Mark III. That's the only piece of gear that was new. Everything else we got was used. Later on, I actually got the small rig tripod, the one that goes up and down, which I made a video about because my man Frodo just crapped the bed. I think I can say that. Crapped the bed. But honestly, the moral of the story is buy used. You will save so much money, particularly if this is your first doc. Don't go spending money on expensive gear. You can get really pristine, almost new gear on eBay. KEH has got used lenses out the wazoo. Use these resources, buy used, and quite frankly, spend money on lenses. You know, get a camera. It's glass that matters, and everybody says it, but it's true. Really good lenses make a difference. And I would never have thought that the 35mm lens that I'm using was off of my Canon AE1 film camera that I got when I was in college. I cinematted it, and then, of course, then I got a 35, I got a 50, and I got a 24, 28. But this is from my from my film camera. And the quality of the lenses and the quality of the picture were just amazing. Cinematted, no clicks, printable focus, they're amazing. It's $40 for the conversion kit. And of course, our follow focus gears, which we'll talk about, of course. But really, used gear, that's the lesson. Save money. Unless you have money to burn, and I don't know anybody that does, used gear is the way to go. And, okay, so that's that. The next thing we're going to talk about, and this has been a lot, I've been hearing this in the ethos, is permission. Yeah, right. After this. I've been watching and looking on like social media and stuff. I have a Reddit now. Oddly enough, people are actually reading the stuff I'm writing. I don't know why, but they are. And the thing that keeps coming up is permission. Like you need permission to like start your documentary. And I don't understand it. Like you get an idea, you go out and you shoot. The only permission you need is access. And well, access is what we're going to talk about. Access to make a film. And that's the only permission that you need. Nobody's going to come and say, bing, you can go make your movie now. You get your camera, you get your stuff, you go out and you shoot. That's how we make documentary films. Access, however, if you don't have access, then you can't make a movie. So, and I've used this example before. If you want to make a movie about, like, native tribes in Australia, like, that's great. But if you can't get to Australia, if you don't have access to the indigenous folks in Australia, you can't make that movie. It would be nice. In fact, I actually tried to make that movie and could not get access. So that went down the crapper. No, access is king. So what do? You should not make a movie that you don't have access to. If it's not 5 feet in front of you, if you can't touch it, then you can't do it. So, locally, a local political race, a businessman that's got an interesting story, the local pizza place that's opening has an interesting story. That's the access that you want. That's what we're talking about for your first documentary. Don't scale up, scale down. Don't set yourself up for failure. I know everybody wants to make that gigantic movie, that epic film, but you know what? You don't get to make the epic film on your first film. You want to make something that you can say, hey, I can do this. Look at this film. I made this. It's a 15-minute short film, a documentary about this guy. It's a 20-minute short documentary film about this organization, this nonprofit. That's how you make your first documentary. My first documentary, Rescue of Brooklyn, you heard me talking about it, literally. we adopted a dog. And this really cool shelter, it's a grassroots shelter. They have people come and they volunteer and they walk the dogs and they clean the cages. And I went back the next day and said to Sean, hey man, this is great. Let's make a documentary about your rescue. Now, I never made a documentary before. I did narrative, I did music videos, I had a bunch of features, some webisodes, never made a documentary. But I went there and I said, hey man, we should make a movie about your place. He said, fine, because he's Sean. He was like, yeah, sure. That's about as excited as he gets. I went back the next day with my very big camera, shot for 2 days with the very big camera, chasing him all over Brooklyn, sold the very big camera, got the very small JVC, which I just gave to my assistant with an assignment to make a 15-minute documentary about one of the subjects from Outcast Nation. And he has until February to get that done, or I'm taking the camera back. So, yes, go out, find a local story, make it about that. Access is key. Also, you know, it doesn't even have to be like this amazingly, you know, big story. And you want to see something? Go watch Grey Gardens. The Maisel brothers were the kings of making ordinary people extraordinary. They sat in a room with 2 women, little nuts, out in the Hamptons for weeks. And it's the classic verite documentary film, okay? You don't need big locations. Look at the masters and do that, okay? If you do that, you'll set yourself up for success. And your first documentary won't be a misery. It won't be a failure. It'll be something that you can show to somebody that says, hey, I made this. Now I want to make this. And eventually, you know, 6 documentaries down the road, you know, PBS. And I hate keep saying it because I busted my ass for 15 years with nobody looking at me, making movies that nobody watched except YouTube, and even the ones that I did get on Amazon through a distributor, nobody has seen. Okay, I put Rising Tides when I finished it on YouTube. I got 5,000 views, which is more views than anybody had ever seen of anything I made. But I made all those movies, and because I made all those movies, when I reached out to PBS about Outcast Nation, they said yes because I had a track record. You have to build the track record to be able to do the one that you want, okay? Make a documentary. Make another documentary. Mark Bones says it. Luke Forsythe says it. Everybody says it. Austin Meyer says it. Just go out and shoot, okay? You do not need permission to shoot. You do not need permission to pick up a camera. Look, we're documentary filmmakers. We don't get permission. That's not something we do. We make movies about things people don't want us to make movies about, okay? I made Outcast Nation about homeless youth in New York City. Nobody wanted that. I'm making Denied, and I'm taking on the healthcare system. I'm sure they don't want me to make this, and I'm going to hear from people. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I'm making a movie about something that I care about. Now, could I have made this movie 15 years ago when I first started? No. Would I have the access I have now 15 years ago? No. It took 5 documentaries, tonight is 6th, to get the access that I have for this movie. And I can't talk about it now. Eventually I will be able to talk about it. But at the moment we're in development and we're talking to a lot of people. But the reality is it took 5 movies to get to where I am. Start small. Start with something you can do really, really well. Okay? And I promise you that movie will lead to the next one. And so what we're going to talk about next, because of that, is what we do when we're shooting. What we do when we're shooting. And that's after this. So I actually have been enjoying myself on Reddit. I've been answering people's questions, and they've been reading my stuff. I'm like the elder statesman there. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And somebody asked me a really interesting question. They were like, well, how do you know, like, when to shoot, you know? And I realized that's one of those, if you don't know what you don't know, you don't know it. And I explained to him that basically with me, when I get out of the car, that camera goes on. So my camera is on from the minute I step out of the car until the minute we get in the car to leave. I never turn it off. We've got batteries, tons of batteries. We got all the smaller batteries, the big ones. I got the Caleb Pike battery. I never turn off the camera. And why don't I turn off the camera? Because we're documentary filmmakers. We are documenting life. If the camera's not on, you're not going to get it. You can't, oh, this is cool, boot up your camera, get it going. If your camera is on, you hit record, and you're good. You're moving. The C300 Mark II, it boots up fast, but I have everything on one button. I turn that on, and it's on all the time. Same thing with the R6. We walk around, whether we're on location or in somebody's place or office. We never turn the camera off because you ultimately you're going to miss it. So you leave the camera on. Also, you don't go home because when you go home, ultimately you're going to miss something cool. We were shooting at New Alternatives for the LGBTQ on Outcast Nation, and we were hanging out, and we were supposed to be talking to some of their clients and hanging out, and it got to like 4 o'clock, and I was tired, and so me and my assistant left. The minute we left, everybody showed up. That's what happens. You stay until the last possible minute. You don't leave. You keep the camera on, and you just keep shooting, and you're going to get the good stuff. Also, when I'm doing sit-down interviews, I literally set up the camera, and actually, that's not what I do. First, I talk to the people without the camera. Okay, with a sit-down interview, we have a conversation without camera first, get them comfortable. Then, once we get the camera and we set it up, it goes on. I hit record while we're setting up, because most of the time, in fact, almost all the time, they will start talking to you before you start your formal interview. It just happens. And sometimes you will get the best stuff in that interaction before you go, okay, let's get started. And you're going to roll back and say, wow, they said that. That was cool. Or they're going to give you something to go back to later that they said now, which you can then piece together later on. All the good stuff happens on either side of the questions, which leads me to never turn the camera off when you're done. People will give you more stuff after the formal interview. Like on Rising Tides, I have this Kurt Davies. He's one of the top climate change disinformation attack dogs. And I got him and we were talking, and it was great. It was a great interview. And then we finished, and he stood up and then sat back down. And we got more stuff. And then we finished. He stood up, sat back down, and we got more good stuff. I didn't turn the camera off until he literally walked out of the room and was in the parking lot. You never know. I have to stop saying you never know what good stuff you're going to get. You just keep the camera rolling. All the good stuff comes when you don't expect it. They come up with ideas, other people you should talk to, things they hadn't thought of during the interview. Never turn the camera off. You're a documentary filmmaker. You're documenting things. The camera stays on until the lights go out and you're driving home. And that's the rule. And I know that seems like it's intuitive, but for people who've never done this before, it would seem like, oh, well, there's nothing going on. Something is always going on. Shoot B-roll. Shoot people's hands. Shoot coffee cups. Shoot like a doorway. Shoot a bookshelf. Shoot stuff that's going to come in handy when you edit the movie later. B-roll is huge. I could do a whole video about B-roll, but I'm not going to. Read my book. There's a whole thing about B-roll in my book, which you can download for free, and we'll talk about at the end of the movie. So that's it. Never turn the camera off. Leave it on, and you'll get great stuff. And now, before we get to the next section, as you know, a word from our sponsor. So, this is the commercial break you knew was coming. I can't make a video without talking about our sponsor, Follow Focus Gears, and Sean down in Georgia, the Magic Man. And, he makes the rings that go on your lens, so you can turn your lens into a cinema lens, so you can use a follow focus. Actually, I use my fingers. I don't even use a follow focus anymore. I just use my fingers. And on our FD Prime lenses, we have the follow focus gear. We have the step-up ring. We have the rubber cap. By the way, the rubber cap is the best. It stays on. It protects your lens. It's not those stupid clip things that fall off and you just lose them all over the place when you're on set. This is what you need. This is what you need to buy. But hey, the holiday season's coming, and guess what? Sean makes the rings in different colors. Yes, green, blue, red, orange, yellow. And not only can you use them for your lenses, you can use them to decorate your Christmas tree or your menorah. You know, the holidays are coming. Jingle bells, happy Hanukkah. Follow Focus Gears makes colorful rings. They're festive. Give them to friends. They won't know that they're not ornaments. They're really cool. They got the little ridges on the side. Holiday season's coming. Follow Focus Gears has all your holiday needs. They make rings for lenses that you have. They make rings for lenses that you don't have. And if he doesn't have it, Sean will make it for you. Okay? There is a code, which I can never remember, but it's right here. 10% off on everything. Lenses, caps, step-up rings. Give him the business. He's a great guy. He makes everything himself. You know, he's working hard. He works by himself. I think he's a couple of helpers, but he does it all himself. The man's a genius. And an engineer, by the way. Very smart. So, follow Focus Gears. We love them. And of course, no video would be complete without talking about our friends at SAC. Like, here's Waldo. SAC. We love SAC. And I say it again and again. Outcast Nation was like 80% handheld. And without SAC, without them coming to the rescue after our stuff was stolen, Sydney had 2 sacks in the mail the next day for us and cut us a break to make sure that we could keep rolling. SAC is family. I love them. And we may have something to talk about with SAC in January. I can't go into it now, but there may be something. So, follow Focus Gears, SAC. They are family. And, you know, I don't have any sponsors at all other than these people. Actually, SAC's not a sponsor yet, but I love them. Give them your business. Because they're great. You know, this industry is full of a lot of people that you can't trust. Follow Focus Gears, SAC. Trust them. Give them your holiday business. I think SAC's got a sale going on now, through the holidays. You can see it here. And that's it. Okay. Back to the video. Okay, the last 2 things on the list. We'll start with the easy one, and then we'll talk about the difficult one. The easy one is, when you're doing your interviews, ask your subject to repeat the question. And I know it feels like 5th grade, but it's not. There's going to come a time when you're going to need to put that interview cold someplace in the film. And unless you want to use some kind of title card or a voiceover, having them repeat the question will be a natural slide from the question to their answer. You're going to find that it's going to help. And I said again. I got to stop that. You're going to find that it's going to help. And most of them will be like, sure. And they will remember to do it, particularly if they're academics. They're used to repeating the question. But I promise you, in the edit, that tiny, tiny little thing will help. So that's a free piece of advice. Now, the heavy, after we had everything stolen, I learned a lesson that you need to have insurance, okay? I know, like, independent filmmakers, what do we need insurance for? Well, let me tell you something. Stuff happens. People steal your gear, and your homeowner's insurance ain't going to cover it. And I learned that the hard way, you know? There are companies like TCP that I use, Natasha and Nikki, we love them, will insure all your gear. It's not a lot of money. I think I pay $1,800 a year for everything. All my gear, all my computers, on the road, at home. I'm completely covered. So if anything happens, cameras get stolen, get dropped, things fail, hard drives fail, I am completely covered. And let me tell you something. Knowing that I'm completely covered makes going out and shooting a lot easier. Having things stolen one time, you learn your lesson. So I know, as low-budget indie filmmakers, every dime matters, but let me tell you, when everything gets stolen and you lose $20,000 worth of gear, you'll be happy that you paid the $1,800. And actually, I pay I think $300 a month or something. It's not even that much. I pay monthly, or $270, whatever it is. It's not a lot, and I'm completely covered. The other thing that you need to think about once your movie's done is E&O insurance, which I'm dealing with right now. Not now, but I know that we're going to need it for Denied when we're done in September. Just let's say, you know, you have somebody that was unhappy. They sneezed in your movie. They didn't like the way they sneezed. They can sue you. you put a piece of footage in your film that you thought you had the rights to that you didn't. You can get sued. They can lock up your film forever. E&O insurance, while it's not cheap, will cover you for any and all problems down the road. And we're going to get it for denied when we get there, because of the subject matter. TCP they do E&O insurance. It's important. Cover your ass. We're documentary filmmakers. We are documenting the truth. We are telling the things that people don't want to hear. And eventually somebody's going to get pissed off. And they're going to say, hey, you don't have the right to say that, defamation of character, whatever it is. As long as you have E&O insurance, they can't touch you. They will come for your house. They will come for your car. They'll come for your pets if they can. You can't trust people to be nice. I know it's terrible. I'm from New York. I'm Brooklyn. I have no problem saying it, and sometimes people have a problem believing it. But when it comes to money, people are at their worst. And if they have an opportunity to take something from you, they will. You're just trying to make a movie. You're trying to tell a story. You're trying to tell the truth. Somebody's going to get pissed off. E&O insurance, errors and omissions, you need to get it. Okay? I'm just going to say it. The other half of that is you need a lawyer. You need a good entertainment lawyer. A regular lawyer is not going to help you. There are things about the entertainment industry that only an entertainment lawyer understands. Contracts, when you're getting donations, you're getting investments, you're getting funding. All of these things are specific to the entertainment industry. You need a good entertainment lawyer. I have one. He's amazing. I can't tell you who he is because that would be, uncool. But he's experienced. He's also a producer. He's a family friend, so I kind of lucked out. But you need a lawyer. Somebody who's going to help you not lose your film, help you make the right decision, not sign a bad contract. There are so many things where you can misstep that if you have a lawyer, will help you. It's not cheap, but at the end of the day, you will be happy that you did. So that's that's the things I think are important. I'm sure there's more. I know I've covered things in other videos, but I just wanted to sort of have a little end-of-year video. So, things I wish somebody had told me when I first started. So, not too long of a video. Outcast Nation is on pbs.org right now. Denied, we're working on it. We've got a Seed and Spark campaign going on. It's here. Here's the link. Help if you can. If you can't, send it to your friends. Every dime will help. We're at that point with Denied where we're starting to having to travel. Some of the court cases that we're covering are in California, Minnesota, and Kentucky. So we got to start traveling. So I'm hoping that the Seed and Spark campaign will give us the funding we need to get started. One more thing. Fiscal sponsorship. I'll do another video about that and funding, but fiscal sponsorship for getting money when you're a single person helps you get charitable donations that need to be a 501c3. Very cool. We'll talk about it another time. But so our Seed and Spark needs help. Share it if you can. Documentary Filmmaking 101. You can download it here for free. You can look at the whole B-roll section because it'll help you. Please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. www.realbrooklynfilms.net. Charlie at rbfnyc@gmail.com. And as always, keep shooting.